Jared Harms.
Tanner Okerstrom.
3 kids,
2 strikes.
One big union!
Why, hello there. Why don't we grab a cup of Joe? While waiting to hear if the national office is going to call a strike. Ooh-wee, this sure is tamer than when the Wasabi shook with the strikes of 1907 and 1916. You haven't heard the story? Well, I'll have to begin with the Merritt brothers' discovery of ore on Mount Iron in 1890. They had struck a rich, but soon they overspent and lost everything when Rockefeller called their loans in the Depression in 1897. That's when Andrew Carnegie, J.D. Rockefeller, and Henry Oliver set up their mines across the range and started shipping millions of tons of ore to the steel factories in the East. Steel was building the railways, skyscrapers, and cities of America. So much so, it created an iron boom. That's when the Finns, the Italians, the Croats, and the Slovenians, whose backs America was built on, decided they had enough. It all started up on the mighty Wasabi. I was just a boy then.
Antonio, did you hear about Frank Little? He got drugged behind a car till his knees were scraped off. Then, the vigilantes crushed his skull with a rifle and hung him on a train trestle.
I think it's because he was organizing the strike in the copper mines in Montana. Take out the leader, kill the strike. That's just what happened to us in our strike last year.
Well, what's the point of fighting management if they're just going to keep shutting us down like they did last year? Same thing happened to my people in 07.
What happened to your people, Edmund?
Well, it's actually your dads that ruined it for us Finns.
Our dads? How?
See, back in 1907, when we was just tugs, my dad was one of the few talents that was working alongside Edmund's dad and the other Finns in the Oliver mines.
And the conditions weren't much better than they are today. You see, the Finns are taking old rickety elevator shack 200 feet down below the ground.
Into pitch blackness that sunk like mule dung and dynamite. They had to feel their way through their tunnels to their picket sites because they couldn't afford to use their stick and tommies.
Sometimes, they'd be standing in groundwater up to their knees. They'd make the greenhorn, hold the hand drill, and screw by hand until they tapped into the vein.
Then, the other guys would use the pickaxes to pick away, trying to loosen as much of the ore as they could.
They'd give us immigrants the lowest paying, most dangerous jobs. And all for what? $1.50 a day to support our families?
My dad said it's because management uses contract labor, so as they could pay the immigrants next to nothing for their work.
That's right. If you could get a good spot with rich ore, you could be digging all day for nothing. Management could treat us bad because we didn't speak English, didn't have money, and didn't have no support groups fighting for us.
My dad and the others would have to bribe the mine captains to come dig where the rock is loose and the ore is easier to get at.
That's because they ain't getting paid per hour or day, but by the tram of ore they dig. Most men are working 14 hours, 7 days a week, making only $1.65 a day.
That's right, but it's not enough money to cover your tools breaking and feed your whole family.
And us Finns, how am I going to stay like this forever? Until one day, when the Western Federation Miners, the IWW, Industrial Workers of the World, sent some of their people from the Union.
Them wobblies, they didn't sit in fancy offices, smoking cigars and talking. They came right to the mines, working alongside our dads, bearing the same burdens.
The Wobblies did street speeches about the bad conditions and voiced our demands for management. But not a lot of people seem to pay any mind.
Then Oliver, he laid off 200 workers because they had joined the union. Ooh-wee, that set up the Wobblies. They organized the first strike on the Iron Range of Minnesota.
On July 20th, 1907, our dads and the others walked out of the mines.
In a week, as much as 10 to 16,000 miners joined the strike across the region.
My dad said only 300 of them could even speak English, and the management of the Oliver Mining Company and U.S. Steel were angry and hired hundreds of guards to protect strikebreakers and company property.
And that's where your dad comes to the story, Heyman.
He joined the strike?
No, he shut down the strike in a manner of speaking. The owners recruited trainloads of Croatians and other immigrants from Eastern Europe. Our dads tried to talk to your dads, rough them up a bit, and even scare them a little bit by being scabs. Your folks, they didn't understand how it was for a miner and looking for work. Signed on with Henry Oliver and broke the strike.
7 out of 10 got blacklisted and had to go look for work in the lumber camps. Thankfully, my dad managed to escape the chopping block.
I'm sorry, fellas.
It wasn't your dad's fault. See, that's what management tried to do. They tried to split us up. caused division between the two different ethnic groups. They wouldn't even let two people who spoke the same language work next to each other in case they got thinking and organizing.
That's really dangerous.
But see, they were forced to make up their own language. They would have to learn enough about and trust the other men enough to yell, "Look out! Duh!" Keep in mind, your life's dependent on your partners.
That's true.
So the different groups started communicating with each other and learning something about each other. Then maybe we could organize to make a difference in the working class lives.
It didn't take long for my dad and the others to realize that the contracts, bribes, conditions, wages weren't getting better in the next 9 years.
The mine captains, they didn't care about their workers. They just needed iron for the war.
That's when Joe Green got his paycheck and realized he was risking his life and barely making a profit. So he dropped his tools and said to hell with this and walked out of the Aurora mine.
60 miners started to walk 35 miles across the range, and up to 8,000 miners followed their lead. By June 2nd, 1916, the second miners' strike was on. I'm sticking to the union till the day I die.
Because of the failure of the 1907 and 1913 copper strike, the WFM and other unions didn't have time for us immigrants. But the Wobblies, they were there for us. Frank Little, Carl Tresco, Arthur Booth, and Big Bill Haywood.
And the IWW wasn't content to give up so easily. They understood management had no respect for their workers, thought them as ignorant, and they did not want the division between cultures or between unions standing for the working men.
They wanted
One big union!
fight for the cause of working poor. The Socialist Opera House, right here in Virginia, Minnesota, became the strike headquarters. The union leaders told Albert they wanted to help the miners negotiate.
We wanted $3.50 per day,
Yeah!
8-hour work day,
Yeah!
the end of contract labor,
Yeah!
and the release of all men arrested during the strike.
Yeah! But Henry Oliver refused to budge and asked Governor Burnquist to send police forces.
He even hired gun thugs from the bars in Chicago.
That's when things started to heat up for the miners. On June 22nd, John Oliver was shot in a skirmish outside our mine.
At his funeral, 3,000 mourners paraded down Main Street behind a large red banner.
That we kids carried.
It read, "Murdered by Oliver gunmen."
By July 3rd, up and by Waback, a Duluth deputy sheriff and his soda pop driver were killed in another confrontation.
The law responded by jailing Carlo Tresco, Arthur Booth, and other IWW leaders for criminal libel and inciting murder, even though they weren't nearby Waback at the time.
Then Governor Burnquist outlawed pickets and intimidated strike breakers.
The IWW and our dads tried to struggle on to sustain the strike. They even called in Elizabeth Gurley Flynn, the Wobblie's best, but it still didn't work. The strike ended on September 17th.
Negotiations didn't really work. Management viewed the miners' demands with disdain, but they couldn't afford to lose their workers in wartime.
Some mining companies reworked the system of contract labor, changed to an 8-hour workday, and made several pay raises.
But our dads and the others still felt disrespected, because it amounted to a 10% increase.
Times were already tense. When America joined the war, it got even worse.
There was a lot of anti-German and anti-immigrant feelings on the range.
It's because of the Red Scare. Government didn't want workers rising up like in Russia.
So, Burnquist passed the Sullivan Act, making a commission for public safety.
The miners were already afraid of the spy system on the range.
That's what happened to Frank Little, the wild who spoke out against war, when he was still helping organize in Montana, when 6 guys broke into his room and drug him out in his underwear. Well, we read the rest.
Now everybody's afraid to speak out, 'cause they don't want to get arrested, deported, or even killed. That's why I couldn't be talking to you about these things. Any conflicts we have with management and thinking and organizing, gotta keep it underground.
The Sullivan, Espionage, Sedition, and Immigrant Acts of 1917 and 18 shut down workers organizing on the range. We miners would have to wait through the Depression to 1935 for Congress to legislate union management negotiations. The Wagner Act, which allowed workers to organize.
The Congress of Industrial Organizations gave the miners a strong union, the United States Steelworkers of America.
But it took 8 years and pressure from the War Production Board to budge Henry Oliver to sign a union contract.
I guess this is a pretty big compromise. Us standing here tamely waiting to see whether or not we're going on strike. My buddies and me, The children of the original iron strikers are negotiating with the big bosses on Capitol Hill.
It's been a hard trail of conflicts.
We miners and our families have had to endure the long road to compromise on
The mighty Wasabi Range.